My name's Ryan. I'm 28, and up until about a month ago, I would have described my family as your typical mildly dysfunctional unit. You know, the kind that exchanges passive-aggressive jabs over Thanksgiving dinner like it's tradition. My mom always had a soft spot for my younger sister Chloe, while my dad floated through life completely oblivious to everything around him. Was it irritating? Absolutely. But unbearable? Not really. Then came Chloe's wedding. And that's when everything changed. That's when it hit me. In my family, it's not just about playing favorites. No, they've crowned a leading role. And surprise, it sure as hell isn't me. Let me give you a little context. Chloe's 25, and saying she's been pampered her whole life doesn't even come close. This is the same girl who, at 16, had a full-blown meltdown because I got a used car, and she thought she deserved a brand new one too. And the kicker? She got it. She's always been the golden girl, the darling who could do no wrong, even when she did. Me? I was the older sibling, expected to lead by example, which basically meant doing everything perfectly and still being overlooked. If I brought home an A minus or a B plus, my mom would just sigh and say, "Ryan, I know you can do better." Meanwhile, if Chloe scraped by with a C minus, it was party hats and confetti. So going into her wedding, I already knew the spotlight wasn't mine. Obviously, it was her big day. I was content to show up, smile for the photos, and get through the event without stirring any drama. But what blindsided me was the extent they went to remind me just how low I rank in this family hierarchy. The red flags showed up early. First, I found out I wasn't part of the wedding party. Fine, not every sibling gets that invite. But then I learned that Chloe's childhood best friend, her coworker, and even her fiancé's cousin's girlfriend made the cut. Okay, that stung a bit. Still, I told myself maybe she was just trying to mix things up. Then came the seating chart fiasco. I wasn't expecting a seat at the head table or anything. That's for the couple and their chosen ones. But I figured I'd at least be seated with our family. You know, the folks I shared DNA and Christmas dinners with. Wrong. When I got to the venue and looked for my place card, something felt off. My name wasn't with my parents, not near the aunts, uncles, or cousins. Actually, I couldn't find my name at all. It wasn't even on the seating chart. I had to ask someone where I was supposed to sit. A wedding planner glanced at her list and gave me the most forced, uncomfortable smile I've ever seen. "Oh, Ryan, right this way," she said, her voice tight. She pointed, and I followed her gesture. And that's when I saw it. My table wasn't in the ballroom. Not even close. I was seated in the hallway. Literally, right beside the coat rack. At first I laughed, genuinely laughed, thinking this had to be some mistake. Like maybe they'd run out of space and were shuffling things around. But nope, that was my official spot. A lonely little table near the doors surrounded by the faint aroma of winter coats and mothballs. I looked back at the planner, still wearing a stupid grin because my brain hadn't quite caught up with reality. "You're joking, right?" She winced. "I'm really sorry. That's your assigned seat." Assigned, like I was getting a prison bunk. And honestly, I wasn't even angry yet. Just confused. Like, was this some weird family prank? A wedding ritual I'd somehow never heard of? I needed answers, and I knew exactly where to go. I tracked down Chloe near the bridal suite, glowing in her white dress, surrounded by giggling friends and our mom, who was practically in tears over the lace detailing. Chloe spotted me approaching and flashed the fakest smile imaginable. "Oh, hey, you made it," she chirped. I held up my place card. "Yeah, just wondering, why am I not seated in the actual reception hall?" She blinked and then, I kid you not, let out a little giggle. "Oh, that," she said. "We had to shift a few things last minute." Right. And I just so happened to be the one that got shifted into the hallway. Chloe shrugged like it was no big deal. I mean, yeah, we had to prioritize close family for the main tables. I blinked at her, stunned. I am close family. That's when our mom, who had clearly been eavesdropping, swooped in with her sweetest, most condescending voice. "Now, Ryan, let's not cause a scene. It's Chloe's special day." "I'm not making a scene," I said. "I'm asking why I've been seated next to people's winter coats." And then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Chloe hit me with the line that ruined the entire day. "Well, you're kind of not really immediate family anymore." I stared at her, trying to figure out what the hell that even meant. Excuse me? She gave another one of those careless shrugs, adjusting her veil like I was wasting her time. You moved out years ago. You're not around much anymore. You're not married or anything. It's just different now. I can't even put into words what hit me in that moment. It wasn't just anger bubbling up. It was something heavier, colder, like being punched in the chest by pure disappointment. So now I wasn't considered immediate family, all because I had the nerve to grow up and live independently, because I hadn't settled down and gotten married. I didn't even get a chance to respond before another voice suddenly joined the scene, and that's when I saw her. Chloe's new mother-in-law. I hadn't really spoken to her much before that day, but the second she walked up, I could tell exactly what kind of person she was. She gave off the vibe of someone who thrived on drama, someone who lit little fires just to watch them burn. She gave me a sly smile and said, "Oh, you're Ryan?" I was wondering who that random seat belonged to. I forced the most polite smile I could muster. Yep, that'd be me, the sibling who apparently doesn't make the cut. Her smirk widened, and she gave me the kind of look that dripped with condescending pity. Well, you know how weddings are. Only the really important people get the best spots. And that's when the pieces snapped into place. This wasn't some unfortunate oversight. This wasn't sloppy planning. No, this was deliberate. And judging by the look on her face, Chloe's new mother-in-law was absolutely loving it. That realization hit like a switch flipping inside me. I wasn't about to just sit in the hallway and take it, and I definitely wasn't going to leave without saying something they'd remember. I took a long, steady breath, my grip tightening around the place card still in my hand. All right, if this was the game they wanted to play, I could play too. But what they forgot was this. I've known Chloe my whole life. I know what she really thinks. I know every snide comment she's ever whispered when no one was listening. And most importantly, I knew one big thing. She couldn't stand her new mother-in-law. Sure, she played nice in front of her. Smiles, compliments, fake warmth. But behind closed doors, a completely different story. And right now I had an audience. So I turned toward Emile, the mother-in-law, and gave her the most convincingly sweet expression I could manage. You know, it's funny, I started casually. Just the other day, Chloe was so stressed about the seating chart. Chloe, who had been acting like her nails were more interesting than anything I was saying, immediately went stiff. Emile raised an eyebrow. Oh? I nodded, keeping my tone light and easy. Yeah, she kept saying she didn't want certain people too close to the head table. I paused just long enough to let the words settle before leaning in like I was about to share something juicy. Something about not wanting her wedding photos ruined by… What was it again, Chloe? I turned to her, tilting my head slightly. Oh, right. Someone's questionable fashion choices. A silence fell over the group like a dropped curtain. Emile's smirk vanished. Excuse me? She said sharply. Chloe's face turned ghostly pale. Hey, Ryan, she started, but I kept going. Oh, and remember how you were freaking out about the speeches? I said brightly. You were seriously worried about what certain guests might say. Then I locked eyes with Emile and added, I think your exact words were, if she gives a speech, I swear I'll lose it. She's so embarrassing. She'll probably try to make the entire thing about herself. Emile's face darkened instantly. Chloe made a strange choking noise and reached out to grab my arm. Can I talk to you for a second? She asked, panic rising in her voice. I stepped back, feigning confusion. Why? I thought we were having a family chat, I said, my tone mock innocent. I mean, since I'm not immediate family anymore, I figured I'd at least try to feel involved somehow. Emile turned her head slowly to Chloe, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. Is that true? She asked. Chloe gave a breathy, awkward laugh, shaking her head quickly. No, of course not. Ryan is just… Oh, and how could I forget the bachelorette party? I gasped dramatically, smacking my forehead like it had just hit me. Silly me. That's worth mentioning. I turned back to Emile, grinning like I was about to deliver a juicy headline. You know, the one where Chloe spent half the night complaining about you. I let that hang for a beat before continuing. She said she was counting the days until she could stop pretending to be nice. She literally said the only reason she was tolerating you was because she didn't want to start her marriage with drama. And just like that, bullseye. Emil's jaw dropped. My mom, who'd been standing nearby like a statue, looked mortified. My dad, usually clueless, actually took a step back, as if he didn't want to be associated with any of this. Chloe's bridesmaids started whispering to each other, exchanging shocked, wide-eyed glances. Chloe herself looked like she was about to self-combust. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. And then, the moment I'd been waiting for, Emil turned on her. "You ungrateful little brat," she snapped, and I had to bite the inside of my cheek to stop from grinning. Oh, this was just getting started. "You think you can use me," she continued, her voice rising. "After everything I've done for you, the money I put into this wedding, the strings I pulled?" She waved her arms dramatically toward the ballroom, her manicured nails catching the chandelier light like little daggers. "And all this time, you were bad-mouthing me behind my back?" Chloe stumbled over her words. "I didn't." But Emil wasn't done. She turned sharply toward my parents. "You were in on this?" Emil snapped, glaring at my parents. "You raised her to be this manipulative snake?" My mom looked like she might pass out right then and there. "Of course not. Chloe would never—" "Oh, don't even start," I cut in sharply, shaking my head. "You knew. Don't act like this is news to you. You just never gave a damn." I let out a dramatic, sarcastic sigh. "Honestly, you raised her to believe the world revolved around her. So really, is it that surprising she treats everyone else like trash?" Mom's face hardened with rage. "Ryan, that's enough." "Why?" I shot back, folding my arms. "Because I'm making a scene?" Funny how that only becomes a problem when I'm the one saying something. Wasn't an issue when Chloe quite literally shoved me out of the reception like I didn't exist. By now, all eyes were on us. The hum of the crowd had turned into full-blown murmuring. Guests were exchanging whispers, heads turning, faces confused or entertained, or both. Even the groom, who had apparently been MIA this entire time, finally wandered over with a furrowed brow. "What's going on?" he asked, sounding more puzzled than concerned. Emil spun toward him like a viper. "What's going on is that your bride is a two-faced brat who's been trashing my family behind closed doors." The groom blinked, visibly taken aback. "Wait, what?" Emil jabbed her finger at Chloe, who at this point looked like she wanted to be swallowed by the floor. "She's been talking behind my back for months, complaining about my dress, my speech, my existence. Said she's only putting up with me until she doesn't have to anymore." The groom turned to Chloe slowly, his face clouded with confusion and disbelief. "Did you seriously say that?" Chloe's head shook furiously. "No, I mean, not like that," Emil scoffed, crossing her arms. "Oh, please, not like that." Wow, and here I was thinking you actually respected this family. And just like that, the whole event went from uncomfortable to full-blown disaster. Chloe and Emil were now going at each other, voices rising, each jab sharper than the last. Mom tried to step in and play peacemaker, but it was way too late for that. Dad stood off to the side looking like he desperately wished he could evaporate. The groom was frozen in place, his face a mask of stunned horror, like someone had just smacked him with a brick. As for me, I stood there casually sipping my champagne like I was front row at some chaotic Broadway drama. And honestly, it was chef's kiss beautiful. But you know what made it truly spectacular? I wasn't done yet. Chloe's voice was cracking as she turned to her husband, her pitch climbing with every syllable. "You're seriously going to believe her over me?" she screeched, wildly motioning in my direction. Her husband, to his credit, was trying to process this emotional car crash in real time. His jaw tightened. His face shifted from confusion to pure embarrassment as more guests openly gawked. I don't even know what to say," he muttered, rubbing his forehead. "Chloe, did you actually say those things?" Chloe scoffed. "It was taken out of context." I raised an eyebrow, my expression smug. "Oh, context, the favorite excuse of guilty people everywhere." I mimicked her voice in a mocking tone. "Oh no, I was just venting." I made exaggerated air quotes. "It didn't mean anything." Then my voice went flat. "Give it a rest, Chloe. You got caught. That's all there is to it. And let's be real. If I hadn't spoken up, you wouldn't have given a damn." Emil, now practically shaking with fury, turned back toward my parents. And you're seriously okay with this? She demanded. Mom opened her mouth, then closed it again, completely flustered, like a fish gasping for air. She was clearly scrambling for a sentence that might fix any part of this train wreck. We, we don't condone. Oh, save it, I interrupted, waving her off. You knew exactly how she felt, and you let her walk around playing the role of perfect daughter-in-law anyway. I clicked my tongue, smiling bitterly. Gotta keep up those appearances, right? That's when Chloe absolutely lost it. You're ruining my wedding, Ryan, she screamed. I glanced around theatrically. Oh, I'm the one ruining it? Didn't realize I was the one who treated my own brother like garbage and badmouthed the groom's mom like it was a sport. Then I turned to the guests, many of whom had wide eyes and mouths hanging open. So what do you all think? I asked, sweeping a hand toward the chaos. Who's really the villain here? Some guests quickly looked away, wanting no part in the drama. But one of the bridesmaids, one of Chloe's bridesmaids, leaned over and whispered something to the woman next to her. The woman giggled. Loudly. That did it. Chloe whipped around toward them, eyes blazing. You think this is funny? She spat. The bridesmaid smirked, trying not to laugh. I mean, kinda? Oh, this was getting better by the second. Chloe's hands clenched into tight fists, her face burning red. But just as she opened her mouth to erupt again, I decided the show was over. I sighed, dramatically shaking my head. Well, this has been just lovely. A real five-star experience. Then I turned, already bored. But I think I've had enough. Chloe threw her hands in the air. Fine, go. I grinned over my shoulder. Oh, don't worry, I'm out. I strolled toward the gift table, casually humming as I scanned the pile of fancy ribbon boxes. And then I saw it. My gift. The one I spent weeks choosing. The one that took real thought, effort, and wasn't exactly cheap. Chloe's eyes followed mine, and when she saw where I was headed, her expression froze. Ryan, number. But I was already there. I calmly picked up the box, humming a tune under my breath like this was just another day at the store. Chloe's jaw dropped. Wait, are you seriously taking it back? Chloe snapped, her voice sharp. I stared at her, completely deadpan. Why would I leave it behind? I mean, apparently I'm not really family, right? Then I gasped dramatically, hand flying to my chest like I just realized something horrifying. Oh no, what if I contaminated it with my outsider germs? I clutched the gift tighter, adding with exaggerated concern, wouldn't want to infect your magical little married life with the stench of insignificance. Her face flushed deep red, somewhere between rage and humiliation. You're such a child, she hissed. I shrugged, tucking the box snugly under my arm. Maybe, but at least I'm not a fake, manipulative, two-faced hypocrite pretending to be sweet while trash-talking people the second they turn around. Then I turned to Emil, who was still burning with fury. Hey, Emil, best of luck with this one. You're gonna need it. I paused, then smiled with a smirk. Personally, I give it a year. To my surprise, Emil actually laughed, a sharp, spiteful cackle that only added fuel to the fire. Chloe let out a screech, losing every ounce of composure she had left. I turned on my heel and started walking toward the exit, leaving behind a wake of silence thick enough to choke on. People were whispering, jaws were dropping, and the music? Dead. Whatever celebration had been happening was now buried under awkward tension and stunned disbelief. And honestly, it was glorious. As I reached the door, I glanced over my shoulder one last time, drinking in the wreckage. Chloe was mid-argument with Emil, their voices rising again. My parents looked absolutely mortified, like they wished the earth would swallow them whole. The groom, frozen in place, as if he was seriously rethinking every major decision that brought him here. And me, I gave a small, satisfied wave and let a smug grin curl on my lips. Enjoy the perfect wedding, sis, I murmured, then walked out. I didn't look back once. I didn't need to. I already knew I'd left a crater behind me, and it felt better than I ever imagined. Once the doors shut behind me, I exhaled slowly and adjusted the weight of the gift under my arm. Petty, maybe, but satisfying? Oh, absolutely. The drive home was quiet. I didn't turn on any music. I just let the silence soak in while my mind replayed every detail. Chloe's tantrum, my mom's panic, my dad's blank stare, and Emil's white-hot rage. It was gold, every second of it. But deep down, I knew the real fallout hadn't even started yet. And of course, I was right. The next morning, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Missed calls, a flood of texts, multiple voicemails. It was like everyone had suddenly remembered I existed. My mom alone had left 7 voicemails, her tone bouncing between desperation and absolute fury. "Ryan, what were you thinking? You humiliated your sister on the biggest day of her life. Call me back. Ryan, sweetheart, please, let's just talk this through. Come over. We can fix this." That was the most immature, selfish thing I've ever seen. "I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope ruining your sister's wedding made you very happy." Spoiler alert, Mom. It did. It made me very happy. But the real entertainment? That came from Chloe's messages. "It's over between us. How could you do this to me? You ruined everything. I can't even look at my wedding photos because of you. You took back your gift? Who does that? I hate you. I really, really hate you." I scrolled through each one, sipping my coffee, grinning like I just won the lottery. If Emil thought a few angry texts were going to guilt trip me, she didn't know me at all. But what really made me pause? My dad's messages. Unlike Mom and Chloe, he wasn't screaming or blaming. His texts were calm, brief. "Call me when you have a moment." I stared at the screen, debating. Dad never got involved in fights. That was Mom and Chloe's territory. He usually stayed out of it, hovering somewhere on the sidelines. So if he was reaching out, it meant something. I finally hit call. He answered on the second ring. "Ryan, Dad." There was a long silence before he let out a tired sigh. "Why did you do it?" I snorted, not in the mood to play dumb. "Wasn't me who lit the fuse." Another sigh, deeper this time, then surprisingly a quiet chuckle. "Yeah," he said. "They kinda did." That stopped me cold. "Wait, so you agree with me?" He paused. "I didn't say that." But his voice was softer now, more thoughtful. "I saw it, Ryan. I saw how your mom and your sister treated you. It wasn't right." I leaned back, letting that sink in. "So, you're the only one not mad at me?" Another pause. "Not the only one." Turns out my exit didn't just ruffle a few feathers. It detonated the whole damn wedding. Apparently, after I left, Emil completely lost it. She called Chloe out, publicly, loudly, demanding to know if what I'd said was true. And Chloe panicked, tried to lie, tried to spin it, tried to make herself the victim, as always. But Emil had already suspected something. She'd noticed the cracks, the fake smiles, the little red flags. All I did was confirm what she already feared, and that was enough to snap the thread. By the time the night ended, Emil had basically disowned Chloe on the spot. And the groom? He was furious. Apparently, he'd been under the impression that Chloe and his mother were close, that their relationship was solid. So when he found out, in front of every guest, that Chloe had been bad-mouthing Emil behind her back for months, it was like a bomb went off in his head. Not exactly the fairy tale beginning they'd imagined. According to my dad, that night ended in an explosive fight between him and Chloe. And I mean explosive. The kind of argument where phrases like, "maybe we rushed into this," get tossed around. Marriage on the line levels of chaos. And my parents, they got pulled right into the middle of it. Mom had been frantically trying to smooth things over, doing her usual damage control routine. But Emil, she wasn't buying it for a second. She flat out blamed my mom for raising a self-centered, entitled brat. Told her, in no uncertain terms, that she didn't want Chloe anywhere near her family anymore. Total collapse. Full nuclear fallout. "So what's the situation now?" I asked, half joking but honestly curious. Dad exhaled. Again. "Chloe's not doing great," he admitted. I rolled my eyes. Color me shocked. "She's blaming me, isn't she?" "Of course," he said. "She's convinced none of this would have happened if you just kept your mouth shut." I let out a dry laugh. "Of course she does. Heaven forbid she actually take ownership of anything. There was a long pause on the line. Then Dad said, "She wants you to apologize." I literally choked on my coffee. "Wait, what?" "She thinks it's the only way to fix things," he continued. "If you just take the blame, she thinks maybe Emil will forgive her and everything can go back to normal." I burst out laughing. "Yeah, that's not happening." "I figured," Dad replied. And then, in a much softer tone, "Honestly, I don't think you should either." That made me pause. "Wait, seriously?" "I told you, Ryan. I saw everything. I saw how they treated you. And maybe it's about time someone finally said something out loud." That hit me harder than I expected. It meant more coming from him, the one who usually stayed silent, stayed out of it. "So what now?" I asked. Dad sighed once more. "Your mom's still trying to salvage things with Emil. But honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. Emil's furious. And the groom?" He hesitated, barely talking to Chloe. "From what I hear, things are rocky." "And Chloe?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "She's a mess," he said simply. Good. I didn't say it out loud, but I wasn't going to pretend otherwise either. My sister had spent years making me feel invisible, like I was just background noise, like I was never quite enough. And now? Now she was finally experiencing what it felt like when the spotlight turned away. Actions have consequences, and hers were long overdue. "Anyway," Dad said, shifting the tone, "I just thought you should know what's going on. Your mom will probably call again." "She can try," I said with a shrug. "I'm not picking up." Dad chuckled, short and low. "Can't really blame you." And just like that, the call ended. It's been a few weeks since the wedding now. And to no one's surprise, I haven't heard from Chloe. She still won't take responsibility. Still insists it's all my fault. Still believes it's my job to fix the mess she created. But I won't. I'm done playing the scapegoat. Do I regret what I did? Not even a little. If anything, I'm proud of it. And the marriage? Let's just say, I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't make it to the first anniversary. So what do you all think? Was I being too petty? Should I have just smiled, nodded, and swallowed it all down like usual? Or did my sister finally get exactly what she's had coming for years? Let me know. Honestly, I could use a good laugh.